Good afternoon, everyone. It's Deb Slotmone here at Implementation Specialist. I'm hoping everyone is having a great day. And I have a PowerPoint that's sitting over on my other screen, but it decides it wants to stay over there. So I'm going to skip that. And I know Chelsea's going to be able to help me get that all together on the recorded version. So thanks, everyone, so much. Hopefully everyone's having a great day. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you guys all today to talk about a few of my favorite tools. I am going to watch for questions in the question pane. So if you've got a question or have a comment or a favorite or things that you guys do today with tools that you want to share with the audience, definitely put them into the question pane and I can get that feedback or answer those questions as quick as I can. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about a few of my favorite tools, and I am starting with one of our absolute newest tools. We brought this one to Summit, and I am excited to show it to you guys. And just want to make sure everything is working here. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm over in just an older version, 2015, 2016, 2018. All the ones I'm going to show you today are going to work across all of them. So let's take a look at one of our newest, and like I said, it's one of my absolute favorites. So Customer Inquiry Plus. Now, you guys probably are familiar with the inquiry screen, transaction by customer. Okay, so I'm going to take us to that one really quick. So just kind of talk you through a few of the pain points around the existing window. Okay, so you've got a customer that calls and says, hey, give me my balance, tell me where I'm at, right? So I'm just going to bring up Lake Park Golf here. Well, he wants to know his balance. That's another window. Let me find. Oh, it's another window. Okay, he wants to know, and he's of course giving me all these questions. You guys know the questions, right? Oh, let's see if my guy's going to come back up here for me. They're asking, what's my balance? Give me some copies of my invoices. Decided it was going to have a little break. They were going to, sorry about that. But here's the older window, right? So to get copies of the invoices, number one, I got to find all the ones that are due because he wants all the ones that are due. Well, this $500 is due. Let me see. These 107s are due. Oh, yikes. He wants all of those too. Okay, so you can see that I'm trying to add these up quick for him. I don't know which ones really are total into which aging buckets, and I got to click on each one and drill back, and yeah, you kind of see. And of course he's asking me a zillion questions and I want to be very responsive. So let me show you what we made, because remember, I use the system every day. I love the system, and I just want a few things to work a little bit better. Wow, this customer, we use him quite a bit. He's got a great balance sitting over there in the 181. Maybe I better find a better one for us to take a peek at. Sorry about that, guys. I think we may have just did a little bit of aging in our test company here. So let's get to some better data. Yeah, it looks like everybody's been aged. So everybody's aging as a 5-6. So it looks like we must have just did a little bit of work on our test system. So notice when I'm in mine, I now see I can talk to Adam from Adam Park. I can talk to him about his total bucket. Oh, Adam, it is sitting there at over 181, right? And if you notice, now I'm seeing invoices that are qualifying in the 20,000, making that all up. Okay, now next thing, I can simply double click. If he's like, that 54, yeah, I don't remember that one. Notice it was a simple double click, right? And now it's up on my screen. I can hit my email button. I can print. I can do everything I want. I'm not trying to figure out which button do I want to go to, right? I can show him where the payment was applied. Again, double click back to my apply, and oh, yep, it looks like we applied that last $25 payment to this specific document. Everything else is going to work exactly the same, right? But we wanted to give you that quick breakdown. So me, as a person that talks to customers every day using this system, I wanted my team to build something that was highly usable for me, okay? Looking at the looking at the 3160, 6190, each of these buckets is able to be clicked on. If there's an amount in that bucket, it can go ahead and show you that amount here. If there is amounts that you want to, of course, focus on the largest amount first, and if the window, you maybe seeing too many transactions, you can use the sort on these windows. Now, I'm going to show you guys my next favorite. You can go ahead, click on your Excel button. And when you click on that Excel button, now what you're going to see is those transactions are right here in Excel. So if that customer says, hey, Deb, can you just send that all over to me? Guess what? Here it comes. Copy, paste, and over it comes, right? Nice, simple, easy. Now, not only did we make this quick little tool, both on customers, but we made it on vendors, okay? So now let's take a peek at it over on the vendor side. Same window, and you can put these on your home button. So if you're like me, F2, F3, those are like my most important. I assign these to a quick key, a function key, and I can have this button up. So if I've got a vendor on my phone, if I have a customer on my phone, quick and easy, I have all of their information right at my fingertips. Okay, now let's take a look and let's see what we got for vendors. Okay, so let's see here. On our vendors, usually we've got a few items in our vendors because you know how it is with my sample data, but you can see how the windows work in the same exact way. And notice here, I didn't show you this on the customer card, but you can see I've got a work button and I've got a history button. Now, remember on the one that we look at out of the box, which we love, has everybody marked by default. So I was just on this one, right? And I can see right here, if I redisplay, I'm seeing work and open here, okay? So let's go back and let's look at attractive telephone. We might just not have gotten that far. And let's see if we can pull that one up, okay? Probably my next one over. And then of course, we'd have such beautiful data there, okay? And when I'm looking at my work, my open and my history and tabbing off, you can see everybody's updating. And of course, mine is giving me just a little grief here, guys. I think I may need to take a look at that one and see what's going on with my vendor, if I've got two vendors maybe. But you can kind of see a few of the perks of using that new tool. Okay, so that's our first one. It's called our Customer and Vendor Inquiry Plus, and it's meant to not replace any of your current windows. It's meant to be an addition, okay? And like I showed you, if this is like one that you use, if you're in receivables and all day long, use your file, add it to your shortcut. It's going to come over here on your home button now, and you can put it to one of your quick links too, just like all of your normal functions. But now you can see there it is, my customer inquiry, shortcut properties, and now adding it to one of my current available buttons. If I say OK here, now anytime I use my F3 key, it's going to be coming up for me. Okay, take a look at that. See what you guys think of that, huh? I'm going to check my questions real quick to make sure I don't have any questions waiting. Okay, so far so good, guys. Make sure go over to your question pane, ask away if there's questions that you want to take a look at. Okay, so let's move to my next favorite tool. So that was Customer Vendor Inquiry. And I'm telling you that one, next time you go from the customer inquiry over to the customer summary to try to find a quick amount due, I'm telling you, you'll be like, oh, Deb, need that tool. Okay, guys, here comes the next one. Are you ready? We're going to talk about something called Bank Bridge. So I'm going to show you my checkbooks over here. And you know how checkbooks work. Yeah, my checkbooks don't look too good. They should be in balance, right? The accountant in me cries when I see this. Well, let's take a look at Uptown Trust and see how Uptown Trust has a cash account tied to it, a GL account of 00110000. You guys with me on that? So if I was a normal GL accountant and I was coming over and just using my GL button, okay, and I'm going to call this one test. I'm going over here to my 00110000. Well, we all know if I was going to try to put in a bank transfer into that account, debiting in, if I did it from my GL window, you guys know that at this point, I'm not updating bank, right? I'm only updating the general ledger, which then I'm going to have a further disconnect over on my bank, because at one point I got to get them into bank, right? do these transfers all day long, so you know I got to have them right. And you guys are seeing the key to act window here, but just know your general ledger entry window will work exactly the same. Okay, just won't have the extra few pieces. So now I'm going to move that into my savings account, or from my savings account. Okay, so I'm going to move that 1,000 covering payroll here. Okay, now guys, typically, like I said, if I'm just in GL, this is only affecting GL, because GL doesn't go anywhere. It sits in its own module. Well, if I want to update those subledgers, that bank subledger, when I hit post here, what you're going to see is this is BankBridge running. Do you want to go ahead and add that entry into bank? Okay, now number one, if I'm fixing something somebody else has already done, I don't want to do it at that point. If I'm doing a fix and where I'm trying to fix just the GL. So kind of think about that. We've already thought about all the things that you guys do every day, and we want to make sure that we're helpful. Okay, but for me, this is my favorite thing ever. I want to add this into bank. So I'm going to say add. And guess what? Here comes my bank transaction. Create the bank transaction. Guess what? There's my bank transaction. Okay. Now remember, my GL entry was over on my GL side. Now I'm doing my increase adjustment because it knows I'm doing an increase to bank. Okay. It's putting it into the right checkbook, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to post there, and I'm going to close out of there. And guess what? My bank's updated. My general ledger is updated. Everybody is back in sync. Okay. Super easy. If you're doing an increase, it's going to go ahead and increase, do an increase adjustment. So if you're debiting, an increase adjustment. If you're doing a decrease, maybe, you know, those pesky EFTs that some of you guys have that are just simple loan payments, you know, you don't really need a whole entire vendor subledger. You just need to make sure they get into bank. Those types of things. Guess what? You can do them here with a decrease adjustment. So when you're doing your interest and you're doing all of that, if you don't have them already set up in scheduled payments, you can do them here in the general ledger. And again, they're going to put those decrease adjustments right into your checkbook because you're using an account that's tied to a checkbook. That's super easy. That one you can have installed, set up, and using in minutes. If your controllers love to do the quick copy paste, you know what I mean? So if you're looking at your copy paste and you want to do a quick, okay, I want to get this guy in, let's say, you know, your debits, credits, don't look at my bad entry here. This one, same thing. You know, if your controllers love that and they don't want to be, you know, oh, I don't want to do bank transactions because I can't copy paste into bank transactions, they can use their Excel copy paste same way they normally would use. And guess what? If it's tied to that bank account, again, you're going to see that that paste functionality is going to trigger that that bank transaction. After the paste, when you hit the post, it's going to go ahead and ask you if you want to make the transactions in bank. So guys, what do you think of that one? If you've ever had your bank and your GL come off because somebody wants to always work in the general ledger, they want to use that copy paste, great way for you to have the efficiencies that your controllers and your GL people want, but you still are keeping those checkbooks and the controls on the checkbooks as well. Okay. So guys, that's two of my favorite tools, right? I'm not seeing any questions yet in the question pane, so I know you guys are probably all saving them up for the end. So those are two of my favorites. I'm going to move on to another one of my favorites, and I'm going to talk about this one because I know this one, our team has spent so much time working on this tool that I know you guys are going to love it. It's kind of an older tool, not a brand new one, but an older tool, but it does a lot, especially if you have issues when it comes to payables and unapplying payables. Okay, now you all might know about this one from RM unapply, right? Where you go in and you tell it to unapply things in the receivable side so you can reapply them, right? You applied a customer payment to the wrong invoice, right? Or the customer asked for a credit and the credit hadn't been processed, but the payment got applied. You know how those things happen. The customer says, no, keep the money, but just apply it to this invoice, a reapply, right? Well, guys, on the payable side, we have it just as often. You're just fighting through way more there than you realize. So what we did is we created what's called PM on apply. Okay. And usually I will tell you the first thing that customers ask me is when I show them RM on apply, the one that Pistol made that you all have already, you all have that tool today in your Pistol selection. The first thing they say is, Deb, well, where's the payables one? I want the payables one. And Microsoft didn't make that. We made that. Okay. So what happens is, you cut a check for vendor ABC, right? And they cash that check. Don't forget they've cashed it. And then, you just got around to opening that box that they sent you, and they sent you the wrong stuff, but they've cashed your check. Okay. So you're saying, okay, just send me new stuff. But when they send you that new stuff, of course, they're going to send you a return. They're going to send you a new invoice, but they've cashed your check, right? Well, in old way, you, of course, would be doing tons of, okay, I've got to do a debit memo and probably a void or a credit memo and 10 documents just to unapply and reapply. Now, what you're going to see here is I better get to some regular vendors here. Okay. Regular as in, here we go. Okay. Now, what you're going to see is if I had a payment for a vendor, see this payment right here, this 2010, that payment, it's in history. That payable is, that whole process has moved to history, right? So for me to pick it up in something like, my apply payable window, my apply document window, it's not going to be there because it sees it's applied and it sees it's in history. And you guys all know the rule about I can't move things around. I can't unapply and reapply when they're in history. Okay. So this one right here, now I'm going to have you guys, all my super smart people that are on the call, I'm going to have you guys all remember which one this is because you know how I am, but it's from 131.14. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use my unapply button right here. Okay. And I tell people all the time, make sure you're doing this in your test company the first few times that you're trying some of these, and make sure that things are working the way you want. Okay. A lot of third parties out there, just making sure that everything's working well together. Okay. Now I'm taking this one from 131. It's my 2010. You notice I've got my unapply checked here. Okay. And I'm going to use my unapply button up here. Now I'm going to close out of here and I'm going to go back to my inquiry purchasing transaction by vendor, bring up that vendor, bring up that same document date, that 131.14. Okay, now what you're seeing is look at that 2010-50. He's been moved back to open. Okay, you've seen him over there on the other side. He was in history. Okay, now take a look at this, guys. At this point, when I drill back on that document, okay, he's not applied to anything. So now the transactions that were with him have also moved back to open. And now guess what? The best thing ever, because that check that he cashed because, you sent the stuff back and then he sent you a new invoice. Now, guess what? Now your apply window, find it here, your apply window, sorry guys, associate, there we go. And now I can bring that same one up because here he is right here. Guess what? Now I can reapply it. It makes perfect accounting sense because I don't have to void it and reissue a check that I've already issued and cashed, and I don't have to worry about clearing two things on my bank rec because I'm not moving anything around with my bank rec. Is this not your favorite thing ever? I'm not kidding you. If you've ever had to mess with trying to get something reapplied in payables, it is a nightmare. Okay. Here, now I can go ahead. Now this invoice right here, remember this invoice? This is the one that the original was applied to. Well, I'm going to actually do a credit doc or a void on that one because we returned, right? And then I can go ahead and I could pick any of my documents and apply that guy too, because now that credit is really what that vendor and me have on the books. Okay, until I get that new invoice, then I can start applying again as well. Isn't that a fun tool? To me, that's a must-have. That is like the absolute, you have to have that one in your toolbox to make all of the things that you do with GP work a little easier. Okay, so now there's just 2 more. I got 10 minutes, so I'm actually doing really good on time, and my time police should be super happy with me today. But I've got 2 more tools, and one kind of goes along that same lines of the reapplying payments, but it's more over on the receivable side. Okay, so remember PM on apply was over on payables. I'm going to show you this one. A lot of ours, if they have to deposit all of their checks, and sometimes they don't know the customer and the customer ID and where that, they just don't have enough, because sometimes customers just send them money. You guys all know, sometimes customers send you money. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to look at one of my favorite customers here. Going to go back into accurate printing. Okay, and you can see this payment right here. Now I'm a little bit worried about that payment because it's voided. So I can see somebody's been having a lot of fun with my sample data, which is good because we all need sample data. And these payments need to be in open. So I'm finding one that's in open here. Finding a payment in open, right? Okay, now that's a work payment, but it's got to be in open. And the reason why I stress open is because if they're in history, you got to move them back with your RM on apply tool. Okay, so I'm going to find one that somebody hasn't already played with, and looks like this one's been pretty popular for being played with. So let me find a different vendor or customer. I'm going to take off my history. I'm going to go to redisplay here, and we're going to find one that we can work with. You know, guys, how it is when you want to find a payment that's not in work, and you can see all my guys here are in work. So, okay, I know we'll find one. Here we go. Okay, guys, here we go. We've got a payment. Are you ready? To Wensoft, one of our favorite customers. Now, this one's a little different than you've seen in the past because we're on an inquiry window. See my $500, right? Now here, take a look at this. I'm here on my inquiry cash receipts. I'm going up to my additional. And take a look. I got a backout document here. Wow, what is that? That is what we call payment reapply. Instead of having to do all the messy stuff with bank and deposits and undeposit and redeposit, right? What you do is you come in here, okay, and you tell it to unapply. Once you unapply, then you can come in here and you can reapply it to the correct customer in the correct batch, correct document date, and then you just open that payment up, and guess what? You go in and you apply it if you want, leave it unapplied for the apply team to work on. It basically moves it from one customer to the next. Has to be in open. Don't let that worry you. I just talked about RM Unapply, a free tool you guys all have from Pistol, from Microsoft's professional services tools collection. But what this is going to do is it's simply going to unapply it and recreate it. Again, if you do a lot of that where it's like, oh, I put it on the wrong customer, I've already deposited it, this is one, put it in your have to have box. Okay. Now guys, I know we're getting low on time. I'm going to show you a couple more really quick, just because, I always got to throw one more tool in there because, my dev guys work so hard. We've got to show off all their fun stuff. Okay, so how many of you ever have used Doc Attach? Okay, and when I'm talking about Doc Attach, I'm talking about simply this window right here. Okay, look familiar? Everybody sees everything in here, right? And there's no organization to it. So if you don't have structure, as soon as you put something in, and the next something's coming in, the scans are everywhere. And after you use this for, I'm going to say a week, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to, there's no folders. This is straight Doc Attach. It's a great, great product. Absolutely phenomenal as far as just giving us the ability to hold documents, right? And track who's deleted, what was deleted. I love all that. Don't get me wrong. These documents can even move places, which is so fun, right? If you want them to and you have permissions, but it's messy. My HR people won't use it. Why won't they use it? It's not secure. Okay, we made drawer, and it used to be called HR drawer, because we made it for payroll and HR, because our payroll people and our HR team said we can't use it. It's not secure. So if you had Aaron as an employee and your payroll and HR teams were only able to see certain parts. So payroll people could see maybe benefits, but the HR team really seen all the rest, the I-9s, the certs and trainings, but only maybe managers seeing grievances and discipline. Okay, now guys, these folders are part of drawer. You name them, you get 10. There's been requests for 20, and I'm going to tell you we're holding it at 10 right now. Okay, what we have allowed you to do is to all that messy stuff that you get when you're in here, we've now allowed you to organize it. And if you have security to it, you will only see the ones that you have access to. Okay, those are things that you can't do without the drawer product. We have put this on the customers, on vendors, on inventory items. You can see where I'm going with this, right? All of your main master records. Guess what? Best thing ever, because now not only have you secured the information your teams can see, they can make their own folders. And yes, they all have to decide on the name of the folders for the module. Okay, so Sean can't have his own folders and Tammy can't have her own folders for a module. Okay, but each company can have its own set of folders. Okay, isn't that a cool little product? And again, it gives you that organization. And like this guy right here, oh, take a look. You could see that he had a plus button that showed you that he had items in his folder. Okay, and then from there, again, you can see just the items that are in his folder. Isn't that a fun one? Now I promised you guys an extra fun tool because you guys are so fabulous for hanging out with me here today. This one, I think, again, I'm like all of our tools, everybody needs them, but this one, if you struggle at year end, and you know we all just got done with it, right? If you're looking at your customers, you're looking at your vendors, and you know when someone's going to pull up that smart list that's going to have wrong information, and you guys all know where it's at. If I'm sitting here in my vendor yearly and this window right here, right, allow since last close to fiscal or calendar, you know, if I'm looking at that data and that data is wrong, this data right here, guys, can go over to a smart list, just like it is. And it comes in like this no matter what. Okay, that's what comes to your smart list. So as you're doing a close, you remember January, we're all closing and we're all saying, okay, I've got to get all of my payables. I've got to get everything in. I don't want to print checks till I'm done. I don't want my amounts paid off. I don't want my invoice amounts off. I want everything perfect. And as much as we try perfect, 2 weeks after we get done with perfect, you're going to get a host of invoices coming in your door and you're going to be like, there went perfect, right? So both on customers and on vendors, we have what's called summary recalc. Okay, I'm going to show it to you on the customer side. Let me bring my customer one up here for a second. It's just under your utilities, and these are super easy, guys. They're not like tons to learn, tons to figure out how do I do it. Put them in your test company and start. That's as hard as they are. Okay, so when I'm coming in here to my receivable summary recalc, what I want to do is say, okay, now I know my current calendar year might be off or my fiscal year might be off, depending upon if your calendar or fiscal. You come in here and tell it to process. That does every single customer you have, and it's done. Okay, if you want to update the prior year, same thing. Click on it, process, and it's done. Okay, seconds. We typically were doing this, I'm going to tell you, for some of our customers, we were doing this a few times at year end as they would get different documents coming in the door and they wanted these windows to be perfect. Okay, they didn't want to risk having someone take smart list information and have it presented in a fashion that was incorrect. So we would do this for them. We're just updating their summary windows. And yes, you can do this one by one, but one by one doesn't fix smart list. This fixes every customer and makes sure that your current calendar year and your prior calendar year or fiscal year are correct. Okay, if something's happened in your life to date has become corrupted as well, you can come in here and use this one as well. You have it for both payables, you have it for customers, so you don't have to worry about when you close, how you close. You just worry about the fact that, okay, I'm done with that year. No matter what comes in, as long as I am really good at putting dates in my system, those windows will be right, because you'll run your recalc, and you can run your recalc every day if you want. You can run it once a month if you want. You can run it even now for that year, that prior year, and those numbers will be right. So again, kind of some fun ones that you must have. Okay, so guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I see there's a few questions in the question pane, and I'm gonna tell you guys that I probably will send those off as individual answers, but keep those questions coming. Our whole team is here to help however you need us. We have a ton of tools and ton of great applications that all of your people will love, gain efficiencies, fix some of those things that are driving your people a little bit crazy. If there's a item that you say, you know what, if you guys could fix this, our developers would love to hear that. Cheryl would love to get that feedback. Let us know. It might be a tool that we develop for everyone. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with us today. Have a great rest of your day, and stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.